All right, today we are going to build your personal financial toolkit. We're going to break down the skills you really need to stop worrying about money and, start managing it with some real confidence. So let's jump right in.
Look, if you've ever felt stressed out or just plain confused by your finances, you are so not alone. I mean, it's a super common feeling. But the great news is that getting a handle on it is way more achievable than you might think. And it all kicks off with understanding one simple idea.
So, what even is financial literacy? Seriously, forget all the complicated jargon. Just think of it as a set of practical skills, things like budgeting, saving, and investing, that let you make smart choices and build a future you feel secure in. It's all about putting yourself in the driver's seat of your own financial life.
We can really break this down into 3 simple steps. First, we're going to talk about controlling your money. Then, how to protect it. And finally, the fun part, how to grow it for the long term. Let's start with that all-important foundation, control.
Okay, so step 1 is all about awareness. I mean, you can't really make a plan if you don't know your starting point, right? This is where we get a really clear picture of what's coming in and what's going out.
Let's just talk about the word budget for a second. For so many of us, it sounds like a financial diet, just full of restrictions and things you can't do. But what if we look at it differently? A budget isn't about telling you what you can have. It's actually a roadmap that gives you permission to spend, guiding your money toward the things that you actually care about.
And getting started is surprisingly simple. It all begins with tracking all your income and then listing out your expenses, both the fixed ones like rent and the ones that change, like groceries. From there, you set some realistic spending goals. But you know what? The most important part is probably this last one, reviewing and adjusting it every single month. A budget isn't a set it and forget it kind of thing. It's a living document that grows and changes right along with you.
Of course, a huge part of controlling your money is just using the right tools. The 2 most basic are your checking and savings accounts. Think of your checking account as your financial command center for daily life, paying bills, buying stuff. Your savings account, though, that's for your short-term goals. It's the place you put money so you don't just accidentally spend it.
Okay, so once you've got that roadmap and you really understand your cash flow, the next question is pretty obvious. How do you actually build a safety net? How do you protect yourself from all of life's unexpected curveballs?
And that brings us right to step 2, protecting your money. This is where we build your financial shield, a kind of buffer between you and any financial stress that might come your way.
Now, your first line of defense is an emergency fund. And the goal here is pretty straightforward. Save up 3 to 6 months worth of your essential living expenses. This is your safety net. This is what helps you handle a sudden job loss or a surprise medical bill without having to go deep into debt.
So how do you even build that fund? Well, the most powerful strategy is actually just a simple mental trick. Pay yourself first. What that means is, before you pay any other bill, before you buy anything, you automatically transfer a set amount of money from your paycheck right into savings. You treat your savings goal like it's the most important bill you have, because honestly, it is.
Protecting your money also means being smart about debt. The keys to good credit are pretty simple, but they are so powerful. First, pay your bills on time, every single time. This is the biggest factor in your credit score. Second, actually know what your credit score is, that number between 300 and 850, and make sure you check it. And third, and this is a big one, do whatever you can to avoid high-interest debt. Things like credit card balances can really spiral out of control fast if you're not careful.
So you've got control, you've built up your defenses. Now we get to the really exciting part. With that solid foundation in place, how do you switch from playing defense to playing offense and start building some real long-term wealth?
And that, of course, leads us to our final step, growing your money. This is all about looking ahead, making choices today that are going to pay off big time for your future self.
If there is one single piece of advice that every financial expert on the planet agrees on, it is this right here. Starting early lets you tap into the almost magical power of compound interest. That's where your earnings start generating your own earnings. I mean, just to put it into perspective, investing a few $100 a month starting at age 25 versus, say, age 35 can literally mean a 6-figure difference by the time you retire. It just goes to show you that time, more than anything, is your single biggest asset.
Now, when you start investing, you're going to hear this idea all the time, the trade-off between risk and return. And it's pretty simple, really. Generally, things like bonds are lower risk, but they offer lower potential returns. And things like stocks have a higher risk, but they also have the potential for much higher returns. Figuring out your own comfort level with this trade-off is absolutely key to building a strategy that you can stick with.
But here's the thing. Investing without a purpose is kind of just gambling.
To really give your strategy some direction, you need to set powerful goals. You want to have short-term goals and long-term goals, and make them super specific and measurable. Not just, I want to save for retirement, but I am going to save X amount of dollars by this specific date. And just like your budget, you've got to review your progress regularly. It keeps you motivated and on track.
And that brings us right back to the full toolkit with its 3 essential parts. You control your money with a budget and smart banking. You protect it with an emergency fund and good credit habits. And you grow it for the future by investing with clear, powerful goals in mind. Just remember, nobody becomes a financial wizard overnight. The key isn't to be perfect, it's just to make progress. Building financial wellness is a journey, and it's made up of all these small, consistent steps you take over time. Each one just builds on the last.
So, the question I want to leave you with is this. After everything we've talked about, what is one small, totally manageable step you can take today to start building your own toolkit? Whether it's just tracking your expenses for 1 week or finally opening that savings account, that very first step is always the most powerful one.